It's been a pretty grotty day, but I thought it's time for Scamp to come out for a walk. And well, because the sunshine is just at that level where it lights up the plot, I thought we would have a little walk over and just see how things are. Look how those last autumn raspberries are still on the bush. They definitely taste sweeter than the summer ones, but just not quite as prolific, and I don't have as many bushes anyway. There we go. Don't polytunnels look fabulous when they're lit up in the evening sun? It's a bit like a lampshade. In fact, I'll take you down here and show you my next door neighbour's plot. We're going to have to take a bit of a detour, Scamp, this way. Go on, up. Right. I learn an awful lot from Adrian, who's in the plot next to me. And his plot is in fantastic order. Just look at how well everything is looking. No half-eaten leaves. He's just got really green fingers. And he's been spending most of this year sort of rejuvenating his plot, because he hasn't grown much in the way of vegetables this year. He decided that he would give it a rest and focus on flowers. And it's pretty remiss of me, but he had a fantastic bed of flowers, which I should have videoed really. But there we go. Pulled out now, and he's starting to think about what he's going to do next year. Certainly very organised, and all the soil has been treated with manure this year. Looks marvellous. And he built a new shed. Very, very handy. And then down here, got another very well looked after plot. They work really hard. Lots of beans, lots of cow. Look how the sun's glinting on that cow. Fantastic. So if you look back on the plots, it really is a treat to the eyes to see all these vegetables growing and all this ground being prepared. As is mostly the case in plots, there's always some that are not quite so well tended, but we won't be looking at those. Right, let's go over and have a look what's going on. I've got to put the chicks away. As I was walking back, I did notice something. Adrian won't mind me walking down onto his plot, but if you look back at my Bramleys, I've got two rather nice looking apples sitting up there. Adrian did say he thought I had a few. Of course I couldn't see them. That's looking pretty marvellous. I'll have those down, I think, in the next few days before the birds have a go at them. There's a few plums left on my trees, but I couldn't reach those, so I left those for the birds. Right, let's get round. Well, those few pears that got munched are being finished off by the birds. And the last of the evening sun just capturing the tops of these hoops. I got a broccoli that I was just too slow. Gone to flower. Not edible now, but there we are. We've had some good ones. And the sun is catching that wonderful climbing rose. Look at that. What a beauty. Right. I think I better get this little fella on his walk. He's doing a bit of gardening at the moment. Come on, Scamp. Let's go. Come on. This way. Wait. Good boy. Well, the sun really is catching all of the tall plants along the allotment boundary. And there's our official sign, which was put up a couple of years ago. He'd like to go in, Scamp, because he's just seen a cat. But we're not going in. Come on, mate, this way. And all along here, there's a whole load of fruit bushes. Wrong time of year, of course. But if anybody wants to pick the hedgerow, this is certainly a great allotment to do so. couldn't help but notice the tree at the top of our road starting to get wonderful autumn colours on it. Just love this time of year. The continuing saga of moving things from the shed. Well, it's fairly warm today, pretty wet. It started raining early this morning and there's more rain forecast for about 1 o'clock. So, plenty to do today. I'm thinking I might do a bit of a harvest on the beans because, well, the temperatures are getting lower at night and there's still some good beans on there. Incredible. Early October and we're still picking beans. In fact, I can only just about see the leaves turning yellow. So I'm going to do a quick harvest on that. But first, I'm going to try and get those Bramley apples. See if I can manage it. Well, I noticed this morning there was one really low. It comes off perfect. It's a beautiful apple. So that's a good start. I'm going to put him on there because I'm hoping the chicks won't get to it. And then I've got to see how I get to these fellas around here. I've got a lot of stinging nettles here. Goes up quite high. Gotcha. Oh! I don't know where the other one went. It pinged off a bit like a catapult. Oh, and that one's been pecked, which is a shame. But we might save a bit of it. One last look round. Can't see any on there. I wonder where that one went. I might go and try and retrieve it because I think it went in that direction. Right, gather these up. There we are, I found it. A bit damaged, but if I use it today, it'll be fine. So I'll put that with the others and get on with those beans. Well, I've been growing beans for years and years and years, and I can never remember a year when the beans have been so good so late. These, well, there must be about 25, 30 plants. There are so many beans on them. I mean, I just can't pick anymore really because, well, we're giving them away, but it just seems like an endless supply. And it's been a really, really odd year. They've come so late. But here we are, beginning of October, and literally everywhere I look, there's good beans to be had. So, oh well, it's a feast year for beans for those of us that have managed to get them through the hot weather. Good times. Well, it's been a bit windy lately, so I thought this morning I would tie up a few of these purple sprouting broccoli. And I look closer and a lot of them have already been tied. Mrs. K has been over here tending to the crops, bless her heart. She didn't tell me, but most of them are done. So just a couple to do. And then these will be ready for windier conditions. I'm using a bit of string, I need some scissors. There we go. So I did this bed only about a week ago. When I say did, I mean gave it a bit of a weed. I noticed this morning they're coming back with a vengeance. It's amazing how the weeds really get going again at this time of year. But they certainly are. That one's okay. And I think I've got a long one over there. So let's just tie him up. And I'm just putting a simple bit of string around these and making a loop, not crushing the stem in any way. And that will just keep it safe from a really big gust of wind. That's that one done. One bit left. This one needs doing. So get him in. So I'm going to put the hoe through this. Take seconds. But better to keep on top of those weeds than let them get on top of me. Right. Hoe time. I think the next time that I do anything with those beans, it'll probably be time to take them down. The beans that are hanging at the low level are starting to harden up, and basically as you go up the plant they get more and more green and supple. But the ones at the bottom will become my next year's seed, and with the way my plans are going at the moment, I think I'll probably leave them right where they are. I think that'll be 3rd or 4th year, something like that, in the same spot. And that of course is a tribute to no dig gardening, where the replenishment of the soil happens through spreading compost over the top, and we end up with another good crop, even if it's the same as last year. No crop rotation required, which is a real benefit to planning, or lack of planning in my case, because sometimes I don't know what I'm going to do until I actually do it. There we go. That just will knock those down, and I'll keep an eye on the bed. I'm keeping an eye on this area just so that it's tidy. And lots of people have said, what a great thing to be helping your incoming neighbour. It's really not any effort, but it will make the world of difference to them when they start. And there's not much in here that's growing in the way of weeds, because I keep chopping it down in this way. There we go. Right, while I'm on broccoli tying duties, I just as well do these, because I notice they're starting to lean over, and it just makes them get leggy. If you don't give them some support, it's not just about blowing over and breaking in the wind. It actually helps the plant to form its leaves. It doesn't have to put any energy, I think, into sort of keeping the stem upright. I'm sure that's the way it works. You can see these look far more floppy than the ones that I've just tended to. And I know a number of you said that although I've had a lot of caterpillars on these and I've sort of saved them really, they will recover, and I can already see that this one's starting to bush out from the middle. There's another caterpillar. While I'm doing this, I will keep an eye, see if I can catch any of the culprits. Right, so I'm going to give this some support. Now, particularly these. This one is leaning over a lot. I don't know, I may put the net back on. I think I probably will. That's what happens. It bends over and then it puts energy into trying to face itself up. And basically you're just not giving the plant its best opportunity to grow. Right, that one's very broken at the top, so I'll push it in the other way. And we'll tie that one to it. What else have we got? This one's leaning over. There we are. Oh, I don't want to go in there. A bit more effort. There we go. 3 more. I think we'll have that one. Now last week you saw me planting my garlic, and I was lifting those 30 and 50 litre pots, and well, I did myself a bit of an injury. I have always had a fairly weak neck, and when you pull up those very heavy pots, you're stretching. Oh, really gave myself a bad neck for a good 4 or 5 days. So I'm being very tentative today. So if you think I'm being a bit slower, you're right. Just need to recover. It's happened many times over the years, but it's a good sign to me to not lift things that are too heavy. Work from the knees. Right, I'm going to go and get some string and just tie those up. They already look better, but they'll certainly look better when they're tied. Well, a big thank you to everybody who commented on my plans for the shed. I think the general consensus is leave the shed where it is and work my way towards a new one way or another in time. And I think that's probably the right thing to do, because I'm just convinced it isn't going to move very easily. And it also makes a lot better use of the IBC tanks and water gathering, which is becoming ever more important every year on the face of it. So I think it's a good plan. I just got to work out how to get a shed now. Some people said, why not ask for someone to sponsor me and give me a shed? And well, I just don't do that. So lots of people do, and good for them. I'm sure it really helps, but I think I'd rather just work it out myself, and I'll find one, or sometimes somebody offers one cheap, and sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and put your hand in your pocket. But I don't think that's going to happen now till next year, so there's plenty to do before I get to that point. Okay, I won't bore you anymore with this. I'll get on and finish it. Well, Mrs. K has requested a celeriac. So this one's looking pretty good. I'm going to pull him out and show you. Their roots are pretty good. Get that net back on. There we are. Not a bad looking celeriac. And once I've taken the root off and the top off, there's a meal there in the middle, which is what it's all about. You do need a decent size. Good times. As a kid, I had a poster. It said, "I must quit procrastinating." And I was a young kid. I didn't really know what it meant at the time, but it was a cool looking picture with an animal on it, and I liked it. These days I understand what procrastinating means, and that's exactly what I've been doing here. Because I'd like to take this out, it's rotten, and then tuck this membrane down. But the more I think about it, the more I need an edge to retain the wood chip that I'm going to put down on here. So I'm thinking I'm going to bury this edge now and leave this in, because I've sort of made the decision I'm not going to put the shed there, so I don't need a surface that goes into the shed. So this will need replacing, so it's a job for the future. In the meantime, I think I'm going to get this edge tidied, tucked in, which is going to be a bit of a pain because I've got to dig down in front of it and bury this membrane. It's going to take me a little while, but I think it's going to be worth it. And then at least I've got a sideboard to keep all the wood chip in. And then I should be able to get the wood chip in here, probably up to the end of these beds, because I've got to carry on that side, and probably up to the end down the bottom, because I've got to carry on down in the other direction. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is just turn all this back, give myself a bit of a working space, because I am going to need to dig into it, and then find a way of burying it just in front of the board. That should keep me going for a while, at least enable me to get the wood chip down, work my way down here. It's not even, this edge, but once I'm buried into the soil, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I can see that the weed are already trying to grow underneath. There's my pears. But that's okay. Once it's covered and it's got some weight on it from the wood chip, I think everything will settle down nicely. Get this corner sorted out. Right, I'm gonna just carry on with that job, put you on time lapse, because it's not going to be very interesting, and you can see how I get on in full speed. Right, what tool am I going to use? I think this is going to be a small, probably hand tool. Did I say small hand tool? I know, I changed my mind in a big way, didn't I? But I thought this will cause me to have less effort and less strain on my neck if I just take it easy, let the tool do the work and work my way down here, just letting the weight of the tool get into the edge. So that's what I'm going to do. Feels okay. Right, as I say, I'll put you on time lapse. Not at all bad. So that's gone down about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches all the way down, and all the excess soil has gone into the area that I know now that I'm going to flatten and level. So that'll help in the leveling process. It won't matter to have a gradient on that back there, because if that's where I'm going to put my potatoes, then having the water run off it and down and out over the bank the other side is a good thing. So that's helpful. Right, so the theory here is that the membrane goes over and down into this groove and then up the side, and it can stick out for now. I'll cut that off in due course, and it will be the weight of the additional wood chip in that gully that holds that edge down and to the planks along the side. That way I don't introduce any additional soil that weeds can grow in. So next bit is to just feed this membrane down in the groove and see what it looks like. I'll probably use some stones as I go along to anchor it, and they'll just be covered over. So I'll go and ferry some stones from my pile of man-made stones and rocks rather than the natural ones which I like to use around the plot. Okay, get the wheelbarrow, get some stones and get cracking. Got to be honest with you, I was dreading this job a bit. It's probably why I was putting it off. But actually it's been pretty straightforward. I've just made sure I've kept the overlaps from the membrane so that the water runs away, and the chippings, if they move, they run down and don't get stuck underneath. And that's got me all the way down to the bottom. Bit of tailoring down here. Nothing too pretty, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be able to see it once the wood chip goes on. So I think I'm going to try and spread some wood chip on it now and see what it looks like. So I'm going to leave these stones in place, these bricks and various weights. I don't want any movement whilst I'm putting the chips down. And I'll probably just put it in this area, and I won't pull back from the walkways until I've got it onto this level, because I need to cut these just to lay them down before I put any wood chip on top. So thanks to Danny, I got a pile of wood chip. Let's get some in the barrow. This is a fantastic tool, this plastic rake, for moving this stuff. Right, Danny and I remarked on how far this wood chip went. Let's hope it's the same. Okay, I'm going to need it quite thick. That's going to be the challenge. So first things first, let's get it into this groove so that it's nice and rigid. There we are, goes in real easy. Just give it a bit of a tamp down, as they say in these parts. Right, I don't need to go much further than this because I'm going to be working here. So let's just move it on down. This is the easy part of the job, let's be honest. All the rest of it that I was doing was the tougher bit. Right, let's just get it a reasonable thickness. So I think about that, which means it isn't going to go a huge distance. I'm probably going to need to restock with wood chip in the not too distant future. Right, onward. There we are, that's the stock gone. It's not going to go quite as far as I would have liked, but hey, I'm grateful for what I had. Right, I'm going to leave that in there and then just drag these bits back over with my rake. I reckon I'll need probably another 3 loads of that to get the whole of the paths done in this whole area. So plenty of wood chip moving ahead of me, but that's okay. It's not a bad winter's job actually. Right, that's that one done. Let's get on and do the other. How different does that look? And my mowing days of this area are over, which is a good feeling. Plenty more to do, but whole winter ahead of me, so this sort of works great in the winter. Might be cold, but it's not muddy once you start working on here. Well, I don't know if you can see, but the rain is pouring down over the mountains and it's pretty dark all around. There's a misty rain in the air. So I think that's me done for today. I do hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you did, why not like and subscribe? And if you want my uploads every Wednesday, every Sunday at 8 p.m, good times.